Hello everyone, Ryan here. Greenlights by Matthew McConaughey. I recently listened to this audiobook, and it's interesting, to say the least. He definitely gives a pretty good performance. As far as the audiobook is concerned, he gives a good performance, and it's easy to see. At least for me, it was easy to see why he's such a prolific actor. And I've always considered him to be a pretty good actor. Maybe not one of the best, maybe not one of the greatest, but pretty good. And so, yeah, like I said, it gives really good performance. That stood out the most to me as far as this audiobook is concerned. And it's a memoir, it's autobiographical. He wrote it, well, supposedly he mentions that he wrote it by gathering old journal entries and quotes and poems or just other random stuff that he just wrote down, over the past, I don't know how many years, but supposedly, I guess from when he first started keeping a journal, maybe when he was around 12 or 13, if not a little younger. And so that's how he wrote this book. Of course, he could have maybe exaggerated certain things and changed the names of certain people, obviously, to protect their identities and maybe also keep from getting sued. But I wouldn't say it's not real heavy on the details. It's more so like anecdotal, like a lot of anecdotes, and he talks about a lot of stuff that he experienced since he was a teenager. And a lot of it is funny, pretty funny, and interesting, weird. And one experience that he mentioned was that I found to be the most interesting and weird and funny, and was when he was a teenager, when he was around 15 or 16, he participated in this student exchange program for a year. So for a year he lived in Australia, lived with his family, and this family was pretty weird, eccentric, but I guess mostly weird. And they were called the Dooleys, but I wouldn't be surprised if he changed the name and changed the name of each family member. But so, yeah, he lived with this family of Dooleys for a year, or I think actually almost a full year. And eventually, he moved in with another family because I guess they were too weird for him, and which I guess, to me they kind of reminded me of maybe the closest I would say, they remind me of an Australian version of The Simpsons, possibly, or maybe even Australian version of the family from Family Guy, or something close to that. And so, yeah, and then also too, that year that he spent in Australia, he mentions that it was the first time that he actually kept to himself, because he's mostly an extrovert, big extrovert. Obviously, no surprise there. But I guess that particular year was the first time that he kept to himself, because he tried to avoid this family at at all costs, or he would I guess he limited his interactions with each member of this family, or at least with the father and the mother, and so he, as a result of that, he ended up becoming very introverted, and also introspective, and it was the first time that he actually thought about like what kind of person he wanted to be when he grew up, and also what kind of person he didn't want to be, and he also figured out, what stuff he actually likes and dislikes, and what stuff he's passionate about, and so it was a big moment for him, and I could definitely tell why, and I guess because I kind of resonated with that, because there was a time in my life too when I kind of had a similar experience, and I mean, I didn't go to Australia or anything like that, but yeah, I mean, I could say that there was a time when I had a similar experience, and although actually for me it was almost kind of the opposite, because I've always been an introverted person. So yeah, there was a time when I had to become much more extroverted, and but I mean, I've always been a pretty big introvert. So, and for Matthew McConaughey, I guess it's always been the opposite of that. He's always been an extrovert, and so I mean, that particular year in Australia when he became more introverted, and it was a big deal for him. So, I mean, throughout the audiobook, I mean, he talks about other experiences that are also kind of funny, and except that, I mean, also too, like, for a lot of it, for me, like, I wasn't really too interested in, because I mean, and then he kept talking about trying to tie in everything to his whole Greenlights philosophy, and which I don't know if by Greenlights he meant that it was him trying to find the positive in every negative, or if it was more so like him recognizing that you can always turn a negative into a positive, or I don't know, something like that. I feel like he didn't really completely explain the whole Greenlights thing. I don't know, or maybe he did, but I just kind of zoned out. Because also too, I mean, he reminds me of like just a lot of extroverted people that I've met throughout my own life too, and a lot of them, there's, for me, like a lot of the extroverted people I know, they tend to just ramble on and on and on, and they don't really say much of anything, really. Like, they just talk just to talk, just to, like, hear themselves speak, or just because they're bored, and which, I mean, there's nothing, I guess, innately wrong with that, but I don't know, for me it gets tiring after a while. Well, yeah, so I mean, like I said, I mean, his performance in this audiobook stands out a lot. Once again, I have to reiterate that, I consider him a good actor. Not one of my favorites. I don't consider him one of the best or one of the greatest actors that ever lived. But I can't deny that. Yeah, he's got that certain something, that certain something that people look for in an actor. So yeah, I can't deny that. So overall, I would give this audiobook, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. 4 out of 5. Let me know if you also happen to listen to this audiobook or if you read the book. Wow, what are your thoughts on it? I like to know. I'm interested in it. I'm definitely interested because I haven't come across too many bad reviews of this. I've seen some, but not a lot. So yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? If you've read it or if you've listened to the audiobook. And that'll do it. Once again, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, next time, don't forget, keep it real, keep on rocking in. Peace.